Bradford Ferguson, I have commonly said, I think I've said it in many different places, that the greatest showman, the greatest PR guy of all time, beating out the Ringling Brothers, as the greatest PR person ever, is
Hmm.
Elon Musk. And I know he didn't intend to use Doge to make him even more famous. But you were saying in the green room that you were just watching CNN, and what was your theory there about CNN?
It feels like all their airtime is being spent on Elon. I know that's not the case, so it's probably like 50% Elon, 50% Trump, something like that. It's pretty crazy.
So whatever the old PR, the famous saying about public relations is, I don't care what you call me or what you say, just get my name, spell my name right.
Uh,
So, so right now,
the crazy thing that they're talking about now is they're like saying Elon Musk needs like a permission slip. So like they're just like screaming children like complaining to the principal or something. It's like,
yeah, and I've read a lot of the legals on that. You probably have too. It's like the DOGE commission was just a rebranding of an existing commission, and so
mhm.
uh, some people have come out today saying there's nothing the Democrats can do about that, and a couple of judges have already come down on the side of the DOGE commission. So it seems like you throw a bunch of something against the wall, and some of it will stick, and there's some of it that might not stick, and some judges might have to go all the way to Supreme Court in a couple of cases, but if you get most of it, that sounds like a pretty good deal overall. But let's go back to the idea of PR. So right now, Trump's numbers are going up. So he's at
Mhm.
54% on Rasmussen right now, which is pretty amazing. Uh,
Mhm.
Highest ratings, not only on Rasmussen, but everybody says highest ratings he's ever had
Yeah.
his time as a
There's a
president.
Tesla connection here.
There is?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, keep going on your
Oh, no, I'm
the
going.
polling data.
Yes. So Trump is now getting his numbers up, and his numbers have got to be up because of the things he's doing, obviously. And that's what the public wanted him to do. It's what he was elected to do. And people have said that. There was another poll, 70% of the people said they thought that Trump is doing what he was elected to do, even if they didn't agree with what he was doing.
Mhm.
Said, yep, that was what he said he would do. He's actually doing what he promised. Who knew that a president would do that? Okay, so
And he's not yet doing what they said he would do.
and he's not yet becoming king or something. So I ran a poll today. I ran my own poll today that I did because Musk's numbers, even though he's getting a tremendous amount of PR, his numbers are not great. I think the last time I looked, his favorables were around 39% or something. So the poll was, did people think that if Doge is successful, that would raise Elon's, ratings, make him more
Mhm.
popular. And at least the people that follow me, which probably are biased,
Mhm.
largely felt that he would eventually get better numbers as the Doge thing becomes more and more successful. What do you think?
Mhm.
Do you think he'll start to move up in the polls? Because I know there's a lot of folks out there that are not happy.
Yeah, I gotta think that he overall is gonna create more goodwill from this than he'll destroy. Um, I think there's a lot of people been waiting for cuts to government, wasteful spending. This is something that Al Gore and Bill Clinton talked about, Barack Obama. There have been other presidents talk about cutting wasteful spending, and this is I think it's just sensitive to a lot of taxpayers in the US. Pay a lot of money in taxes and want that money to be spent well. And now, today we're hearing that it may be $1 trillion in Social Security and other payments that just are going out to um, either people that are dead or who are not citizens of the United States or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, or like people without a social security number. So it may not even be a person. It might be just some kind of criminal organization. It's very bizarre and instead of wanting to recoup, some of that money or stop the fraud from happening, the narrative is that, oh, they shouldn't be able to see that kind of thing. But I work in finance, and sometimes I have to bring on consultants, and they have to abide by, d dealing with confidential information
They do. Absolutely.
where there's, client information, and we're careful about that. There's processes for it, but that's just a fact of life whenever you get an outside consultant.
Yeah. Well, so then I understand
But
that
I'll say I do have some clients that have forced me to sell Tesla stock recently as
okay.
diversified clients
Oh, interesting. Okay.
who, who don't even care to hear what we have to say. They just want to sell it.
They're just really mad. So
Hmm.
the Democrats today said, okay, DOGE, when are you going to get around to cutting the Pentagon budget? And then within hours, Trump came out after meeting with the with Putin and Zelensky and India today. Forgot the guy's name.
Modi, Narendra
Modi from
Modi.
India. And he says he's going to talk to China and Russia and suggest that the three of them not only disarm nuclear in terms of nuclear, but all three of them cut their military budgets in half. So did you see that?
Wow, that would be I'd be impressed if that happens.
So
And
so that
it's
was
just that I have a hard time because like the military industrial complex, and that's like all the companies involved. It's not
yeah.
just the generals and Pentagon and various agencies. It's just a massive, there's a lot of mouths to feed and all that stuff. So I'd be surprised if they could cut um, much more than 25%, but yeah.
The 1991, I guess it was, the George Bush, the first recession. About half of the reason for that recession was the cut in the military budget.
Wow.
So people who haven't studied recessions, I've written a book on recessions, don't really know what happened. How come George Bush had a recession? What was going on there? It was about half because engineers were getting laid off right and left because Boeing lost a lot of it. Raytheon, General Dynamics, all had lots of business gone because of the military cutbacks. And the other half of that recession was because of the change in the way that uh, residential um, units were taxed in terms of how fast you could write them off.
Hmm.
So you had to go 40 years instead of 30 years on writing off, apartment buildings and whatnot. And that was a tremendous, so the value of that property just dropped like a rock.
Hmm.
So that's what caused that recession. So, there's a real possibility with all these cuts. I've been saying it for a couple of weeks now. We could be looking at a recession just for
Yeah.
the cuts in government. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Also if they cut a lot of the government employees, if some of them are cut and they don't get severance,
Yeah.
then that would hurt right away. For those that get severance, it would start to hurt, once that severance ends and they have to find work.
But my understanding is that there is, quite a bit of work out there right now. I know it's not like it was 2 years ago, but there's still a fair amount of, if you're any good at what you do, you should be able to get a job, I think. I'm not sure. 100%, not 100% sure. Okay, so we've got the Doge thing going on, but if the Doge thing is successful, and it looks like today, the only reason, okay, try to figure out why uh, what do you call it? What are we studying here? Why Tesla has gone
Hmm.
up dramatically the last 2 days, and why the market went up today and why the bond market rallied today when we just had the CPI and PPI prints that were crazy high. And I would have expected, I think maybe everybody was expecting the market to have a bad day for the bonds to sell off and the rates to go up, but the opposite happened. So what do you think is going on? Why did we have the reverse reaction that we thought was going to happen?
So 2 days ago, we had this big slam down in growth stocks. So it wasn't just Tesla, but it was also like Bitcoin, MSTR, Lemonade. They are all down pretty sizable, and then like markets seem to take a little bit of a breather. But then a lot of the growth names rallied, very strongly today, and not just like quality growth like Tesla, who's a profitable company, but also a lot of companies that aren't profitable yet,
Mhm.
and are in the growth phase and or more speculative. So like companies like Rivian that aren't
Yeah,
profitable yet, those were up quite a bit today. So maybe there's a little bit of speculation about rates or inflation, but I just think it was like a little bit of wobble in growth stocks.
I was thinking that it was the because the bonds rallied, which is the opposite of what you'd expect. In fact, yesterday they didn't. Yesterday the bonds,
You mean the rates went down and the prices went up?
exactly. So the rates
Yeah,
went
so I think that's why growth stocks are going up is like the 10 years starting to might be starting to come down again.
And the only reason I've really been racking my brain, the only reason I can see, given the CPI and the PPI, and no evidence that the things that CPI and PPI measure is going to be any different next month, although a couple of them were transitory, like eggs, that the only thing I can see is that what I've been predicting for a couple of weeks now is that eventually those bond players are going to believe DOGE is going to be successful. And it looks like the Republicans are going to back it. And the judges, we just talked about the judges
Yeah.
are coming in favor. So it
Yeah,
looked
some of the circuit judges have been overridden by I don't know if it's state or federal.
federal appeals. Yeah.
Um,
Federal higher level. I guess they're appeals.
yeah, maybe federal, but so a number of those happen. So it looks like they're going to be able to continue on and keep doing what they're doing. Um, so you're right that that was something that also changed today.
Yeah.
And
So
so if they can really cut spending, if the Fed's being honest and not, acting like a tenured professor, um, lower spending would argue for lower Fed rates.
right. And it would also argue for because you've got the Treasury not needing to come for as much new money. They wouldn't have
Mhm.
to sell as many bonds. That reduces the supply, which should reduce the cost of the 10-year, 2-year, all of them. So that's kind of what I feel is happening right now. I don't know if I'm right or not, but that's one thing. Now there was another thing that might have affected uh, Tesla today.
Mhm.
Oh, you know what? I didn't write down his name. Oh, yes, maybe I did. Uber CEO. What's the Uber CEO's name?
Dara.
There you go, Dara. So this is his post today. No, this was a post. This was a letter or something that he wrote that was
Mhm.
reposted by Tesla. He says, no one wants to compete against Tesla or Elon if you can help it. Their
Mhm.
capabilities are extraordinary, but I think the same economic laws apply to them. Ultimately, if Tesla puts their cars on our network, we have 150,000 drivers who are driving Teslas.
Mhm. That's a
And,
lot.
and if they get FSD, they're going to love to plug into Uber as well.
Mhm.
And that could be good for both Uber and Tesla. So that's going to create more revenue. Ultimately, that'll increase the value of Tesla so that the residual value of the car improves. And if they don't do that, there'll be some other OEM who will do that. Anyway, he goes on and on and on. And he ends at the end,
I call that the Gary Black argument. No,
Gary.
we're just gonna add FSD.
So
to our cars.
at the end of all, he goes on for another paragraph and he says, ultimately, we are hoping that my charm and my economic argument gets Tesla to work with us as well. If they want a direct channel, no problem. So Uber kind of threw in the towel in a way. They're
They're begging at this point.
they're begging.
Yeah,
Is that what it
they're
sounds?
begging. It sounds a lot like begging to me.
So that could have stimulated the stock today.
Yeah, Elon's sleeping on the floor of the White House. They got to somehow get Elon's attention so they could talk. Um, yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, so the way I envision the rollout for Tesla is they start in Austin and they really get the app, fix bugs with the app. Um, And then I think they'll begin to roll it out to more cities, but also in Austin, I think they'll allow the ability of private owners to put their Teslas on the self-driving side of Tesla.
To test that out as well.
Yeah. If you want to drive on Uber, you can drive on Uber. If you want to let your car be self-driving on Uber while you supervise, you can do that. Um, I think if you want it to operate as a robotaxi, it'll have to be on the Tesla app.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so they'll test out those theories and start to see what happens in as this switchover sort of takes place. I like that. That's interesting. Okay. Um, one of the big discussions going around the last few days is pricing. How do you think Tesla will price in Austin, or even if maybe the Austin is a kind of a test market, when they
Mm.
really start to roll it out? How do you think they'll price? Above Uber, around Uber, below Uber, whatever they can get, just the market price like a hotel would, based on the demand?
I think I'm optimistic that they'll price at the market. So whatever will cause their cars to be at maximum capacity, what that clearing price is. It's possible the price per mile could be high initially, like people want to ride in the cybercab. I'm guessing there's going to be like bulls having parties, Tesla bulls having parties where they come down and they all ride in a cybercab together and stream or whatever. Um, yeah, I think I'm hopeful they'll start like just kind of undercutting Uber and Lyft and like offering it around $2 a mile, something like that. Um, but
So now,
that's still a lot of gravy for Tesla.
yeah, so Uber, of course, and Waymo and all of these guys are all doing market pricing. I'm sure
Yeah.
you, I'm sure you've done it. I go on my app and I look for an Uber and they give me a time and they say like 20 minutes and they tell me what the price is going to be. And then I'm like, 20 minutes? Well, let me check Lyft. And then Lyft is also 20 minutes and I prefer Uber. So I go back to Uber and the price changed like in
Hmm.
like in 2 minutes. So they're clearly changing, by the minute even with regard to what the availability is, how close their vehicle is, and how much traffic there is going on at any given time. So why would they ever not do that? I can't think of a reason why Tesla would ever want to change from that. Just let the market decide.
Yeah, the only way where they would, I think, need to adjust is um, if for some reason they didn't have enough drivers, I mean, enough riders, enough interest,
Right. At all.
then
Like a leap
they
dearth.
could they could greatly lower the price.
Yeah.
It's possible Uber and Lyft could play some dirty tricks and offer huge coupons in Austin
Yeah.
where you can you can get a certain number of dollars or percent off rides for a month or something like that. So they might try to interfere with Tesla's test.
Yeah, Tesla, of course, could easily come back and just go look for the first month. It's free.
That's right.
In fact, I kind of thought they might do, free for a couple of days, just as a
Yeah.
just as a PR thing to gin up interest. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, so that's going to be an interesting. I think it's going to be super interesting to see how the pricing works when they first come out.
We
Uh,
should do a show from a cybercab, Randy.
from a cyber cab, you want me to come down to Austin?
Hmm.
You're gonna come down to Austin. Is it closer for you or for me? I think it's closer for you.
And I'm a no, I'm not a 2 hour, 2 day drive. It's like a day and a half, I
Probably,
think, for me.
I think it's 2 full days from Cal. Anyway, all right. So that is, of course, the big thing on everybody's mind. Now, the other thing that was popping up today was a lot of new activity around Optimus, well, around robots.
Hmm.
So, Figure came out today, and one of the other ones, a couple of them came out today and talked about their orders. They've got
Okay.
actual orders, they're shipping, they've got deals. So that I think that also could be a real positive for Tesla that a couple of these companies have put their product out there into the real world, had them working in the real world, and now those companies are saying, okay, I'll take some.
Yeah, I was just checking figures feed. I didn't see Brad at Cox, and I was looking at another robot maker. Apptronic announced a 350 million Series A funding round,
Right.
led by the Capital Factory and B Capital Group. Um, yeah, so did they give any numbers as far as
No, they didn't
okay.
give any numbers yet. So they didn't say how much they're charging. So
We want
that's
to know like how many robots and how much are they charging?
yeah, yeah. But just the fact, I mean, just the reality, going from, okay, we're testing them at BMW, we're testing them at Mercedes, we're testing them here, we're testing them
Mhm.
there. I think
I
I've
think
tried.
I think Xiaomi's trying it as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, they got them. So there's a difference between, oh, we'll send one over for test, and then for those companies to say, well, you know what? Let's buy 10 or let's buy 100 or whatever,
Hmm.
yeah, whatever the number is. And like you say, it'd be great to know the price, but all of that should gin up activity around Tesla, as well as I would say probably most people think Tesla's the leader, even if from time to time there's not enough information to know who's leading or not leading, but just because it's Elon.
Yeah, there's different capabilities, but I feel like the total combination that Tesla has with Optimus, with the hand the way it is, and the hand isn't going to be the only new thing about the version 3 Optimus. I gotta think that Tesla's in the lead.
Well, speaking of in the lead, Grock 3 is supposed to be coming out. Elon put a post up today, said
Hmm.
out within a couple of weeks. That might mean 17 months, but it's a couple of weeks. And the Grok 3, he says, will be, as far as they can tell, Grok 3 right now is better than anything else that's out there. And he also doesn't believe that anything will ever catch them again.
Yeah, he believes that once he's in a lead, he'll just keep accelerating. Yeah, I think he said a week or so.
Okay, a week or so. Okay.
So it's not the 2 weeks trap.
Okay.
So maybe it's sooner than the infamous 2 weeks. Yeah, it's exciting. The new software that's available from these LLMs is really good. If you do the pro version with ChatGPT, that's $200 a month, but it enables the deep research
Yeah.
thing they have, which is really good. Matt and I, we were just looking at a company today and asking some questions um, around the product and shortages and things like that, and come to know that this company was claiming backlogs on their investor presentation. Um, but what they meant by backlogs was just like large projects that
Uh,
they may or may not have anything to do with.
I see.
Whereas the deep research from OpenAI, it correctly stated what the real backlog was,
Hmm.
not like the rebranded backlog. So that was really good because like the backlog they're claiming is like basically the total addressable market, and they're claiming like a $1.4 trillion backlog is ridiculous.
1.4 trillion. Oh,
Whereas in reality, their real backlog is 14 billion.
well, 14 billion is not bad, but it's a lot less than some part, some numbers of trillions. I see. So that was, yeah, so that was valuable. That was a good.
Yeah, so if Grok 3 is just much better with logic, even if it's better with programming than the current version of Claude or ChatGPT, that's going to be a big difference maker because I'm still using LLMs to code and they still make mistakes. So a version that doesn't make mistakes as much would probably be like twice or 3 or 4 times as fast as a version that
That you can't trust all the time.
yeah.
So it also appears that Grok 3 is going to bring us voice. So that's what we're hearing. Is what we're hearing.
Mhm.
As a pun, I suppose. Anyway, is that we're going to have voice, and that therefore we're going to finally get my mother the car. For those who are too young to remember my mother the car, it was a talking car. Um,
Oh, okay.
oh, you didn't know who my
I
mother.
thought you were talking about your mother,
So there was two talking cars. There was Kit, was a talking car,
right?
TV show, and there was my mother the car that was a talking car. And so, I've been as a very old man, I know about both of these shows, and so I've been waiting for the ability to talk to my car,
Hmm.
in a conversational way. Now, we don't quite have that promise yet, but Elon suggested that it was going to be um, extremely useful.
Hmm.
So that might mean asking it for which exit should I use for the best in and out location or whatever. I know that's a West Coast thing, and you're probably drooling now because you don't live near an in and out. Anyway, so I've been saying forever that once the car is able to speak, which means the Optimus will be able to speak, that alone will create demand for the cars. What do you think?
I think it would help for sure. It would be a another thing that turns heads. It's kind of like how the Cybertruck turns heads or the Falcon Wing doors on the X turn heads. Um, that would bend some ears for sure.
How about Daddy, Daddy, can't we get one of those cars that talks?
Yeah. And it'd be cool if you don't have to press a button for
Yeah,
that functionality. It could be like, hey
Siri.
Jarvis or something like that.
Yeah, and I wanted to have personalities that you can choose,
Hmm.
so you can choose a dry personality like CERN, or
Hmm.
you can pull up a personality like Elon's, you just, choose among all the different various, personalities. So,
Yeah, that'd be fun. And like ChatGPT has its various voices you can pick from, but you can have it talk in a certain tone, that kind of thing.
right, right. Yeah, now we've had that on the phone and whatnot. Siri asked me, I just got my new iPhone, and it asked me for 5 choices of voices that I was interested in
Hmm.
Siri having, the style and
But
the
you can have any of the voices talk in various accents around the world
uh,
in any language. It'll be in that voice, but it'll talk in any language.
interesting. That's
Yeah,
nice.
it's basically an LLM with the voice. Um, So you can have long conversations with it if you're on O1 Pro. And I
Okay.
think the conversations can be like up to a half hour, that kind of thing, and then you got to kind of reset.
So have you had any of those conversations yet?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, a bit out loud. So is it 3CPO like, or is it still a little slow and
Should
halting?
we try it out? Let's try it
Sure.
out. Let's have a
Okay.
little fun.
What the hey, huh?
So when you talk, uh, you interrupt it, and then it wants to. If you pause talking, it wants to jump in right away. So I
Okay.
think they can make it a little better, but I'll work with I can hit the mute button to stop it from doing that. So tell me about Elon Musk.
Elon Musk is quite the dynamic entrepreneur. He's the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, known for pushing the boundaries of electric vehicles, space exploration, and AI. He's a visionary with a penchant for ambitious projects, like Neuralink and the Boring Company. His work has been pivotal in shaping a future of multiple industries.
Yeah,
More
yeah, yeah, yeah.
specifically,
I get it. You drank the Kool-Aid. I thought Musk was just a troll on Twitter, and he just like has other people do the work for him.
it's true that Musk is known for his presence on social media and can be quite provocative. However, he's also deeply involved in the strategic direction of his companies and is known for being hands
Oh,
on in
okay,
engineering
okay,
and
okay. Could you be a little less diplomatic in your answer? Go ahead and give me another answer that's a little less diplomatic.
Sure thing. Elon Musk can definitely be a polarizing figure. He's got a knack for stirring things up on Twitter, and some might say he's a bit of a showman. But even if he's controversial, it's hard to deny his influence and the impact he's had on multiple industries. Does that help?
In Spanish?
Claro.
No,
Elon
no, no.
Musk
I meant in Russian.
Понятно. Илон Маск может быть спорной фигурой. Он умеет привлекать внимание в Твиттере и
Indian?
не... Sure. Elon Musk एक विवादास्पद व्यक्ति हो सकते हैं. ट्विटर पर उनकी उपस्थिति काफी चर्चित है और कुछ लोग उन्हें शोमैन
Bangladesh?
मान सकते हैं. ঠিক আছে. ইলন মাস্ক একজন বিতর্কিত ব্যক্তি হতে পারেন. তিনি টুইটারে আলোড়ন সৃষ্টি করতে পারেন
Yeah,
এবং
so
Pretty,
um
pretty
but
good.
you can have other kinds of conversations. You can have
Sure.
conversations where it's helping you with your health or you're role playing something or you're like in the middle of a story, things like that. There's
Interesting.
you can just
Interesting.
have long conversations. You could tell it about your day and talk about that.
Now, I've gone on and asked it questions, without the voice,
Uh-huh.
and gotten really, really good answers, obviously, as everybody has, but that's fun to hear it as a voice. I really think that's going to sell cars. I just, because I think it's probably rare right now that people have that kind of access. Is that a free, or is that a pay? That's a paid.
So you can get the voice. I don't know if you have to have the $20 a month or not, but there's limits to it if you don't have the $200 a month version
Got it.
of it.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, so 3CPO is close. We're close to actually entering the age of 3CPO.
That's
That'll
right.
that's so much fun. Okay, so we talked about Doge. We talked about, well, okay, so let's go back to Doge for just a minute. How how much is it, are you feeling the confidence right now that, say, Brian Wong is, that we might actually get to a balanced budget or even eliminate the income tax?
Uh, I'm not sure how important the income tax is, like what percentage of receipts it is. Um, Even Elon doesn't think they're going to get to a balanced budget, but maybe they're sandbagging for once. Elon had that presser with Trump where they were in the Oval Office. Trump had just stopped signing some stuff, and had Elon answer questions, and Elon had his son with him, all that. Yeah, it's where was I, Randy?
We were talking about a balanced budget and
Yeah,
the
about so both of them were like they thought they could get 1 trillion in cuts, so that the deficit would still be $1 trillion. Only 1 trillion, Randy.
only 1 trillion. But then he also, Musk had said a couple of weeks ago or a week ago that if we got it down, that would cause interest rates to go down,
Mhm.
which would stimulate business and would also cut more out of the budget because part of the budget is the interest payments. And
Mhm.
so then if we stimulated the economy, that would cause more revenue to come in from corporate taxes, and that would be the way to ultimately, that ratcheting effect might ultimately balance the budget. So
Yeah.
does that make sense to you as a finance guy?
Yeah, it does make sense to me. So yeah, there are knock-on effects from it. And there's some penalties we're having because of high interest rates. For people who have to deal with credit card debt, maybe 20 versus 23% isn't a big difference. But on a mortgage, 6% versus 3, it
Yeah,
makes a huge difference.
yeah,
Um, and I think there's a lot of people that are in 3% mortgages who would like to move to another house, but they don't want to start over with a 6% mortgage at the new house.
right.
There are many benefits that you don't really think about on a daily basis um, that would play out if rates were lower because of like a cut in spending. Yeah.
Sure, sure. And one of the other issues that I've been paying attention to, maybe you have too, I don't know, is the wages are staying very high. And I really think because services are where the CPI is staying high.
Hmm.
Yeah, sure, a little bit on meat, a little bit on eggs because of problems. But overall, it's the services that are killing us right now on the CPI and the PPI, is that wages are the main component for services. And right now, we're talking about 5% year over year on wages, and it's been consistent, not just
Hmm.
month. It's been month after month after month. It's been around 5%. So how do we get wages down? Would the unions and the individuals have to be inclined to ask for less if they saw prices starting to moderate?
I don't see wages coming down necessarily. I haven't really zeroed in on demographics, so I haven't looked at like how many kids are going to be graduating college this year, and them hitting the job force versus number of people that are retiring this year, things like that. Um, mm,
Yeah,
I just lost my train of
I
thought
don't think
again.
I don't think we have a demographic cliff in the job market for a couple of years, but we have a demographic cliff this year, coming up this year, on college entry. Big one, a
Mm.
big, it's been talked about for years that there won't be as many kids entering college. So I guess that would also impact the lower end of the job market.
Yeah.
So if we ended up having shortages in the lower end of the market again, do you think the Trump administration will respond quickly with regard to some kind of a worker program or some kind of a way to get low wage workers in from the very places that we've just sent them back, uh,
Mhm.
but having been vetted,
So maybe an expansion of the green card system.
something like that? Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, a crackdown on immigration and sending people back out, would uh clamp down on um the number of people available for various types of jobs. Um, I think in general, people are looking to hire companies. They want to implement AI and the design of figuring out the problem is one thing, but having people be able to just work with it um, in the systems that you're using in your business is a really big deal. And um, we're looking at hiring people this year,
Hmm.
and one's relating to AI and automation in our
Yeah,
business.
yeah.
And automation is just automating processes, using programs to automate processes, not AI doing the automation, but helping us write the programs.
So in the next couple of days, I have a program coming up with AJ, and AJ said he can't even give me numbers. Oh, I shouldn't have said that because that'll spoil the surprise. But there's so much confusion about what's going to happen even in the first quarter, even though we're halfway to the end of we're halfway between the we're halfway through the first quarter. And he says, you don't know how many Ys are going to get shipped, and you don't know how they're going to price them. And I
Yeah,
think a lot of stuff that's throwing him for a loop. Have you
very
guys
uncomfortable.
very
Yeah, so
uncomfortable?
this is not our. I'm gonna drop a bomb right here right before I
Okay.
go. This is not our official evaluation or projection. But if you think in a typical quarter, Tesla makes about 300,000 Model Ys.
Right.
Um, maybe the fourth quarter was down a little bit because they were maybe beginning to anticipate it, but I don't see how they can go from like 90% capacity down to re-ramping a model, um, unless everything went perfectly. I don't see how they make 150,000 this quarter worldwide.
Right.
So you could potentially see a drop of in production of 150,000. I haven't looked at what Troy's numbers are. Um,
Troy is under 400, and
mhm,
AJ right now is at 425.
yeah, yeah. I'm under 400 and might be closer to like 350.
Wow.
I just have trouble seeing how they're going to scale initially.
Right, right, right. Yeah, so that
They,
does make
they,
it
they
tough.
probably plan to like make it not hurt as much. Um, but it's, you can plan all you want, but then you have to deal with your supply chain and
Sure.
you have to actually execute, and the machines are set differently, and you find other issues along the way. Yeah. You
Well,
probably know from working in a factory, right,
oh
Randy?
boy.
Did you ever
Oh,
change it over, and did it like automatically just start? Maybe bottles are different, but
when you're dealing with injection molded or blow molded products, you don't have nearly the kind of ramping issues. But
Mhm,
if you're bringing in a new mold, a completely new mold, and
mhm,
in the case of a bottle, you have a bottle and a cap, and it's usually the consumer wants the bottle and the cap to work well together.
mhm,
They really don't want it not to screw on or pop on, or they don't want it to leak. Those kind of things are pretty important to the consumer. So you do have a work in time.
mhm,
It's rare that you put the bottle, the blow molder on the new mold the first time. It pops out a bottle, you screw on the cap or pop on the cap, and it works perfectly. So you sometimes have to go back and redo that. But while you're going back and redoing it, you put the old mold back on and you run it. So you might lose a couple of hours or a few hours, but you don't lose like
oh,
days.
okay. Mhm.
You don't lose a ton of time.
A car might be a little harder
A
to make.
lot harder. Like
No,
multiples.
no offense, Randy,
Yeah, I know. I
but
know.
that's good perspective.
Yeah, so okay, so here's the key. Here's really the
If
story.
if I was putting you on a spot before we go to the key,
Yeah, yeah.
you heard my case. Like how many Model Ys do you think they make in the first quarter?
So the good news is we saw the cars, new Model Ys going on to trucks in Shanghai a month ago. I mean,
Right.
we saw new cars, new Model Ys in the parking lot in Austin today. And
Hmm.
it's not like, I don't think today was the first day. I think we've seen them for a few days. So that's pretty good that February 14th, 13th, 12th, we're already seeing cars in the parking lot. I'm not sure we've seen anything in Fremont yet. And I don't think we've heard anything for Berlin yet. but at least that would give us a little hope that they could gin up some pretty good numbers by the end of the month. But I'm with you. There's going to be, they're not going to make 500,000 cars, that's for sure. And so the number, probably between that 350 and that 425 is probably fair. Yeah.
Which one are you closer to, 350 or 425?
It'd be like this, man. It'd be like pulling out of thin air. And I think that's true. That's why AJ's saying, it's so hard to figure it out.
I just don't see how they make even 50% of what they make unless they kind of, had a month of production of the old one or something in this quarter. I just don't see how they even hit 50% of the number.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's going to be interesting. So now here's the key, or the question I was going to ask you a minute ago. Does it matter?
Long term, it doesn't matter because this is it's not a demand issue, it's a supply issue from Tesla.
It's understandable.
And they can't just kind of magic the machines to be at full capacity. And the new Model Y is going to be much better. And this is what people were waiting for. They were waiting for the upgrades that the 3 got to see those in the Model Y. And I think it's going to be a monster seller eventually. But it still, I think they'll also still be ramping up in the second quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Tesla will be lucky if they're done, getting back to the old number at the end of the second quarter.
Okay. All right. Okay. So then that means, the first half of the year could be kind of, and then the second half of the year could be kind of like, I don't know, Elon said that 2026 will be epic.
Yeah, I agree. I think it could be epic.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Making Optimus at what, 100 a week going into 2026.
I thought it was that Optimus or the
It was
Cybertruck?
Optimus.
600, wasn't it 600 a week? I thought 100 a
Oh,
day. 100 a
that's
day.
a lot.
Yeah. Well, they said 100, 50 to 100,000 in 2026. So that would be a lot.
That'd be amazing to see Optimus running around.
100,000. Watch him.
I was lucky enough to be at We Robot, and
Yeah.
one point I was just like kind of surrounded by Optimus, and it was surreal.
Yeah, I can imagine. All right. We need to get on to the numbers. Any final words of wisdom from you today?
No.
Nothing.
Let's get right to the numbers. Let's go.
Right. All right, Bradford, thank you so much as always for jumping on, and we'll hang out with you again next Thursday, whatever.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. Bye for now. All right. So where we are, we had Tesla up $19.43 today after being up 8 yesterday. So in 2 days, up 27 points. And in the after hours, another $2. So I would say all in all, that's pretty good. We finished above 350. Brian Wong shot me a text a little while ago and said, hey, if we can finish above 350, that is a technical win. And so that might mean that we won't be bothering to go back under 350 again anytime soon. We had the Dow up 342, the NASDAQ up 295, and the S&P up 63. All of the Magnificent Seven were up, many of them strongly. We had the Cathie Woods all up, some of them pretty good. So yeah, very good day in the market, especially like I said, considering that the information that we got on PPI was not nobody was writing good headlines about the PPI today. It was mostly scary headlines, but I think what we're looking at, as we mentioned, is maybe the bond market is a little satisfied. Now, after I said that, I'm looking now at the pre-market on the bonds, the 10-year up 1.4 basis points, so back up to 4.539, but that's better than 4.639 where it was yesterday. The 2-year is flat the 1 month is actually completely unchanged. So in general, I think it'll be interesting. We'll see what happens. We need more data points. We've got a lot of reports coming in tomorrow. So we'll see how this all plays out over the next few days. The oil market was down earlier, up a tad now at 71.47. Brent at 75.24. Both of those up a little bit compared to where they were earlier today. Natural gas up again, 0.63% to $3.65. So that's moving up strongly. Gold up also 18.20 in the pre-market to 29.63. I'm gonna make one of my my guesses. I think gold breaks through this time. Gonna break through 3,000. Yeah, probably in the next few days. All right, silver up 1.77 at 33.30. I think silver will join it finally silver will go back above 34 and hit new recent highs. I think that'll just continue along with the gold. And copper, by the way, I checked on that. Copper is at all-time highs. So up 0.41% again today. And that puts it at $4 and almost 80 cents. These are all-time highs for copper. Now, I think that has to do more with the overall international demand that's going to be coming for copper because of all this electricity, all this electrical demand. I don't think this is not like a general commodities situation, but it's going to be an important part of how things are going to play out over the next months as it is very, very strong right now. Bitcoin down 735 at 96,444. And here we go with the pre-market for equities tomorrow, extremely flat. So the Dow up 29 or 0.06, S&P up 2 or 0.03, NASDAQ down 6 or 0.03. So not a lot of activity right now to the overall pre-market with regard to equities. By the way, the headline reads right here that the U.S. and India aim to more than double bilateral trade to $500 billion within 5 years. And they also, I read earlier, they plan to be doing a lot of work together with, India turns out lots and lots of engineers, lots and lots of computer scientists, kind of like on the order of China. They have many, many, many universities there that are churning out these engineers. So the United States and India have agreed today to cooperate on AI in a very strong partnership. So that's good. Okay. All right. So I want to remind you that tomorrow will be a normal day. We'll have Larry Goldberg at around the 4 o'clock hour, somewhere around there. And then 7:45 will be AJ. It's going to be a great show. We've already published it. Already created it. And then we switched tonight. So earlier, and I'll put a card right here, you can go back and listen to Cern Basher. That was a very fun show also. And Cern will be on again on Saturday morning. And that one is outstanding. I will be promoting the heck out of that one because you do not want to miss what Cern and I talked about. That'll be on Saturday morning, or AJ tomorrow night for that matter. Anyway, so a great couple of days coming up for my guests on this particular channel. And until tomorrow morning at roughly 7:45 California time, I will see you then with the After the Bell show, and we'll hope that we have another great up day for Tesla. It's been great talking to you.